Also with us today is Senator John Velis. Born and raised in Westfield, Senator John Velis attended Westfield High School before attending Roxbury Community College and the University of South Florida. After completing his undergraduate degree in political science, John returned to Massachusetts to earn his JD at Suffolk University Law School. Prior to his election to the state Senate, Senator John served as state representative for the 4th Hampden District in the House of Representatives from 2014 to 2020. Senator Velis resides in Westfield with his wife Emily and son Carson. Please join me in welcoming Senator John Velis.
Good morning, everybody. What an absolute honor to be here. Where's my friend Father Mark? Where is he? Father Mark. If that man asked me to go anywhere, I have to show up. Just period, end of story. My wife Emily and I had the good fortune of Father Mark married us, and he just reminded me that my anniversary is coming up here. So can imagine how that's going to go over with my better half. First and foremost, thank you for being here. Addiction in a post-COVID world, the pastoral response. I guess what I would say is that first and foremost, so in the Senate, I was just named the chairman of the Mental Health, Substance Use, and Recovery Committee, which obviously, as I don't have to tell anybody in this room, and I always say this to people, and I was just saying this to the Senate President, I believe that behavioral health issues, very broadly speaking, are the biggest issue in this Commonwealth that not enough people are talking about. There are so many issues that go along with this, but I'm just going to kind of rewind to kind of give you how I got to where I am in terms of my passion for this issue. So on February 19th, 2017, I was in a really bad place. I was in the throes of my own addiction to any number of things, but for purposes of this conversation, I will say alcohol. And I was on a fast track to dying, and I didn't know what to do. I had no idea what to do. I was recently elected a state representative, so I did the only thing I knew what to do in this world of, and I guess I'll digress for a second, this world of stigma that still is so pervasive out there, even to this day, with how far we've come. So I picked up the phone and I called someone who I didn't even know, I didn't serve with, rather, in the House of Representatives. He had just left the House of Representatives because he was elected mayor of Boston, and I was recently got elected state representative. And this gentleman's name is Marty Walsh. And I called up the mayor of Boston, I didn't know him. So I called up just the Boston mayor's office. I literally Googled it from my bed because I couldn't move at that point in time. I was a binge drinker, and I had been on the tail end of about a 2-week-long binge. And I didn't know how to talk to anyone. I didn't know who to reach out to. So I just called, and someone answered. Someone in the Boston mayor's office, and I just said, "Hey, is the mayor there?" And the woman was kind of like, "No, he's not. Can I take a message?" And I just said, well, my name's John Velis. I just got elected state representative, and I'd love to talk about the mayor. And I should have began by saying that I had known very publicly, and the mayor speaks about this, shouldn't even say the mayor anymore, the Secretary of Labor, who just left to now be in charge of the Players Association for the NHL. So this woman was kind of confused, for lack of a better way to describe it, and she asked me what did I want to talk about. And I just said, it's personal. She said, okay. About an hour later on, I got a call from another woman, and she was the then mayor's chief of staff. And she said, hey, Rep, we got a call from you, right? And I said, yeah, I called. I'm looking for the mayor. She goes, okay, well, he's in Cape Cod. Can I tell him what it's about? He checks in, so I'll just tell him that you're looking for him. And I said, just tell him it's personal. My gut is he'll know what it is. And then I get a call, literally, about 10 seconds after I hung up, and I answer the phone, and in an accent I'll never forget, that Boston accent that I can't even begin to imitate anymore. It was, hey Rep, it's Marty Walsh. Let me guess, you're a drunk. And I said, yeah, I am, and I need help. And so began my journey. So began my journey, and I am forever grateful to the role that former mayor, former secretary, soon to be whatever Marty's doing now, NHL person, the role that he played. So this is very near and dear to my heart, this issue. And what I can tell you is I'd love to sit here and tell you that it's getting a lot better here in Massachusetts and nationally, but I'd be a liar. And I was taught in my recovery not to lie, to really try to practice honesty. So the other day, I'm meeting with the Senate president, literally 2 days ago, and she said to me, John, we're going to be doing an SUD bill, a substance use disorder bill, and you're running point on it. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go literally everywhere in this country, and I want you to talk to as many people that are subject matter experts, and you come back and tell us how we can be of service, how we can help people. And I said, okay, I got it. And then what she also said is we are also going to do separately another mental health bill. And I want you and Senator Friedman to run point on that bill. So I've got my hands full, if you will, in this regard. So here I am. The first step on my trip was last week here in Massachusetts. Here in the nation, we have 2 government-sanctioned, and I want to be careful on how I refer to them. There's overdose prevention sites, safe consumption sites, safe injection sites, however you want to refer to them. And there's 2 of them, and there's 2 sanctioned ones in America, and one is in Washington Heights in New York City, and one's in East Harlem. So I found myself last week in East Harlem, and I went to visit it with the understanding that this phrase that we hear, harm reduction, is getting to be a really big part of the discussion, right? Obviously, I don't have to tell anybody in this room, there's so many different approaches to recovery, there's so many different ways to get better, and I want to be very clear here. My firm belief is that the best type of recovery is whatever recovery works for the individual in question. You know, this is a whole nother discussion, but one of the things that I see happening over and over again in the recovery world is there's getting to be a lot of battles amongst the different groups. You have many people who come from what we'll say is the abstinence 12-step world being very critical of harm reduction. You have many people from the harm reduction world being very critical of abstinence and 12-steps programs. And that's a problem. And why is that a problem? Because human beings are dying. Human beings are dying on a daily basis. Since I've been up here, started talking, we've already lost some people to an accidental overdose. And that's a really big problem. So I go into this room in East Harlem, and I'm not surrounded by, I don't know if anyone's been there, but it's truly something special to check out, even from an intellectual curiosity standpoint, which is what led me there. And I go into this room and just picture a call center, really a call center with, I guess it would be nurses and medical professionals in the middle and a bunch of different cubbies, like a call center, and all these folks using drugs. There was folks injecting heroin, fentanyl, whatever it was. They were checking in what their substances were. And then there was a separate room where people were smoking whatever they were smoking. And it was, for someone in recovery like myself, I kind of looked around and I said, oh my God, what is going on here? So right now, and I just paused, and you could probably understand why I'm pausing, I'm struggling to kind of get my grips around what I think about them, and I have to, in fact, in 3 weeks, I'm going to go meet Mr. Marty Walsh in Toronto in Canada and tour some more of the sites. And the reason I think why this is a big part of the discussion right now, this harm reduction realm, is that, again, people are dying and we don't know how to stop it, right? So we've had this substance that many people have heard about, fentanyl and all these other synthetic opiates, that it has completely changed the dynamic out there, right? People are dying over and over and over again. And one of the interesting statistics from New York City, I went over to NYU and I was talking to some of them. One of the disturbing trends that is also seeing, at least in New York, I haven't seen data in Massachusetts on this, is that many people are dying who at one time they would consider recreational users of substances. They've had an uptick of cocaine overdoses that are laced with fentanyl. So people have no idea what they're doing other than they're going out, buying cocaine, and they're dying because it's laced with fentanyl. And that is a huge challenge that's out there right now. And that's a big part of the conversation about things like fentanyl strips, spectrometers, other ways to detect what are in these substances. I guess I'll finish with this. I'm going to be doing a lot of getting out and talking to people and meeting to people. And I've got a problem set that's been dealt to me, right? The problem set is that fellow human beings, my family members, your family members, my friends, your friends, are out there. And they're sick. And they're dying. And they don't know how to get better. So my role as a government official who happens to chair this committee is to kind of ask the fundamental question of, what are we missing? What are we missing? So if somebody in this crowd has something to offer about what we are missing, I need to hear from you. I want to hear from you. I'm imploring you, I am begging you to tell me what you know. I'll finish with this. When I first got elected state representative, I was sitting in a caucus, which is a group of lawmakers when we're getting ready to go over their bills. And we were talking about something. This was really in the throes of what we've come to talk about with the opiate epidemic. And the speaker at the time was a gentleman by the name of Bob DeLeo. And we were taking up a bill involving this very topic. And it was a really, really expensive bill. And there started to be some rumblings about the financial costs of this bill. And Speaker DeLeo, and I'll never forget this, and I credit him for this greatly, because he looked around at us and he said, noticing a lot of people are talking right now. And I'm getting the impression that some folks might object to what we're doing today. And he said, I want you to raise your hand right now if you do not have a family member, a friend, or someone very near and dear to your heart that doesn't struggle with this thing. Silence. Absolute silence. Not a single hand went up. I'm not going to do the same thing here because I already know the answer to that question. Everybody in this room has someone that they know that's struggling with this. We as a society, we as a nation, we as a commonwealth can and must do better. So when I hear about things like this going on, addiction in a post-COVID world, this is something I need to be at. These are people I want to talk to. Thank you for giving me the chance to say hello.